Well, Duke, a lot of stuff going on in the NBA. We got Chris Paul news. The draft is tomorrow and free agency coming up. Who you think's going to win this year? Do you think what Milwaukee did for Giannis is going to be enough for him? Hope so. Hey everyone, welcome back. It's awesome to see you guys again. Just before I get started, I want to have a quick thank you go out to anyone who came by and subscribed to the channel recently, because you just helped me get to 40 subscribers. And at the moment of recording, it actually got up to 41. And I know when it hit 30, I really wanted to get it to 40. And thanks everyone who came by and supported and chose to hit the subscribe button. It means a lot to me. Now today, obviously the sport that's having a lot of attention is the NBA, and that's what we're going to stick to today, with the NBA draft coming up tomorrow and free agency looming, and the season following not far after on the 22nd of December. There's a lot of action going on right now, especially in trades. So we'll get right into it. The Milwaukee Bucks had a demand from Giannis Antetokounmpo that he wanted some big-time players to play with if he was to stay, because he wanted them to show that they were serious about winning and accommodating him. Now, what the Bucks did, the main piece of the deal that they got, they acquired Jrue Holiday from the New Orleans Pelicans for Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, and 3 first-round picks. And that's a big ask, but that's a really good player for Giannis to play with. In Jrue Holiday, he's been shown that he's really good as a player in a place that isn't as established as it is in Milwaukee, but now this is going to give an opportunity for him to really have his moment to shine on the Bucks, and it frees up some space for the young guys over in New Orleans. The Portland Trailblazers acquire Robert Covington from the Rockets for Trevor Ariza and 2 first-round picks. I think that's going to be a good fit for Portland, as they do need as many three-point shooters as they can get, as Covington is more of a 3-and-D player. And it's kind of interesting to think maybe some of the moves that the Rockets are making are to try and entice maybe Harden to try and stay, but I don't think this is obviously a main move that they're looking to make. I think the Rockets' main focus is obviously to keep Harden around, and with all the news and rumors swarming around about him wanting to go to Brooklyn and play with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and him turning down his 2-year, $50 million deal, I think that they're going to need to do a lot more to keep him around, because the Rockets haven't shown an ability to get anything done when it comes playoff time. Now, the biggest trade that was in the news was that Chris Paul got traded from the Oklahoma City Thunder over to the Phoenix Suns, and what it took for that was Kelly Oubre Jr., Ricky Rubio, and 2 other pieces that I don't have written down, but I saw there were 2 other pieces that went back. And I think this is a big win for the Suns, and I think that having a presence like Chris Paul with the young guys, with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, is going to be huge for them, because Paul, you see it, he has this demeanor to him where he doesn't take any crap. He lets them know when they're screwing up and what they need to do to improve, and he works very hard in practice and competes like almost no one else in the league. And that's what the Phoenix Suns need. They don't just need a swath of veterans going in there. They need someone who's going to go in there and tell the young guys what they need to do and how to be good players and good people. And going back to the Thunder just need to keep going. They have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They need some complementary pieces for him to develop him, and they don't need losing seasons in OKC. They need developmental seasons. I think they need to keep getting that taste of the playoffs and keep the competition going there, because they have a lot of draft picks in their pocket, and they need to make sure that they use them wisely and develop them wisely. And also going over to OKC is Danny Green. Green was traded along with a 2020 first-round pick to the Thunder for Dennis Schroeder, who I think is going to be a really nice piece and addition to the LA Lakers. He's been shown to be able to hit some shots, drive, draw fouls, everything. He's a really good point guard, and he can slot over to shooting guard, but not as a pure shooting guard as Danny Green, obviously. And when you win a championship, these are the things you have to do. Sometimes you have to shed salary, or if you have a different vision for what you want next season to be, who you want around, you have to move some guys around, even if they're guys that were as beloved as Green had been in the last 2 seasons with LA and Toronto. And having back-to-back championships is going to bring a good winning pedigree to the young OKC team. And the Bucks also made another deal. So the Bucks acquired Bogdan Bogdanovic.
So looking. Bogdanovic, 3 seconds. Bogey for the win! Bogdanovic!
Pack 'em up and send 'em home, Grand Napier!
If you don't like that...
From the Sacramento Kings. He was a good player for the Kings and kind of out of place, especially the last few years. You know, the Kings being young and him on the little older side of 20s. He definitely needed to go somewhere where he can win, and I don't think the Kings are quite there yet, obviously, with obviously good players like De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley. I just think he was a little out of place, and it's good to see him have a shot with the Bucks because he's going to get a really serious role there. And so the Bucks had to give up DiVincenzo, Ilyasova, and Wilson, and so the Kings pick up a little bit more, some good complementary pieces for the young core. And along with that, those are the other pieces that are trying to prove to Giannis that this is the year that they can actually get it done and make him sign a long-term extension. Now, shifting over to tomorrow's NBA draft. So, obviously, the Golden State Warriors have the 2nd overall pick, which in a second we'll get to why it's kind of an interesting spot. But obviously the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to pick first tomorrow. A lot of people are saying that Anthony Edwards is going to go first overall as expected. And the part that I read that kind of confused me is LaMelo Ball. They're saying that he's slid as low as out of the top 10 on some people's rankings and as high as number 1. And number 1 I think is really optimistic. I don't think he's impressed as much and has as much consistency, especially him bouncing around between all the teams. He's been trying to develop himself, not having really a home, and not being in the college system. I think Golden State taking him at 2nd, which is what I read was projected on the one that I read, and that was NBADraft.net. So they have him there, but I just don't see it. I really think that with Curry and Thompson coming back to the Warriors this year, I think that if they get Wiseman at 2nd, I think that's going to be great because he's a center and he's the best center in the draft, and that would be a huge piece, especially for that's what Golden State's weakness has been over the last few years. If you could find a weakness, really, they missed that big time center, the person who got rebounds and defended, because they're a heavy 3 team and they need that guy who can also defend inside, because then that makes them completely impenetrable. Now, if it does pan out in the way that LaMelo does go 2nd overall, that would be a huge opportunity for Charlotte. Charlotte needs that franchise-defining player, which would mean Wiseman could fall to them. And you think back, Charlotte's last big-time player was Kemba Walker, because it seems that Charlotte has missed on a lot of drafts. They've tried getting players that were highly touted or even just questionable draft picks that they made. They need to go all out on this. So you can think maybe it would be good even if they did get LaMelo, if he was maybe a 3rd overall spot for them to get. But I think that's a little wishful thinking because Golden State knows what they need, and unless they're going again in the 3-point barrage direction and they don't want to take the best player available, then maybe Wiseman can fall to Charlotte. The Raptors are picking in the late 20s, and so they're going to have to find some more draft magic. Basically, they're going to have to do a repeat of finding OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam. And I wouldn't put it past them that they couldn't do it. They haven't had stellar first-round picks in the last couple years, like high-touted players coming out of college, like 5-star recruits or anything like that. And some years they didn't even have their own first-round pick, but they were still able to find consistency. So personally, I'm not really worried about the Raptors having a problem in this draft. They've always been good at finding those players who can contribute and players that other teams passed up on or maybe didn't take as good of a look at or thought they wouldn't be impactful in the NBA. And I think the good thing about the Raptors when they have late picks is that the Raptors 905 has been really successful in developing a lot of our players that are on our team today. They are winning championships down there, and they're having big winning seasons, and players that second round picks or even just walk-ons for free agent signings that weren't even drafted, they're having successful seasons on the 905. Now, I just want to say I'm really excited for this NBA season to come up because, as you guys know, if you were watching since the beginning of my channel less than 2 months ago, I got a taste of what it was like to do the season coverage daily, but it was only for postseason baseball. It was fun. Don't get me wrong, it was amazing, but this is going to give me a huge opportunity to really start a season and cover the draft, and although it's unconventional, the timing and the gap between the season and the off season, it's giving me an opportunity to really see what this is going to be like covering the Raptors and giving you guys what I think about them. And this is only going to be one part of it because obviously when the NHL season starts back up, there's going to be an overlap, and possibly MLB starts back up, there could be a 3-league overlap. So I'm really excited to do this. And although I like doing videos like this covering trades, I'm sure everyone likes hearing about trades. It's, every day having to come up with a topic. I think it's going to be, and I like doing the creative videos, making topics, but having the daily grind of a season where even things outside of the Raptors happening, just the drama of the NBA, and I think it is the most drama-filled league, which can be bad and good at sometimes. It's a huge opportunity to really get this channel started, and I thank everyone, all 41 of you right now that have been along for the ride so far, and I hope you're here for the long term. And anyone else that comes by, you're welcome to stay, welcome to subscribe, because I'm going to be here and I'm going to do my best to show you guys the most unbiased opinions and coverage on every sport that of the 3 big ones. Couldn't have done this first month and a half without you guys, and I hope you guys are enjoying it all so far. I will see you either later tonight or tomorrow for sure, obviously, because of the draft. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope your team has a successful draft, and we'll talk about it tomorrow.